Welcome in, everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful Monday. I am Jill Summerlot, the operations team leader here at insource, and I would like to welcome you in to our Monday Minutes. And I will share our QR code for you. There you go. If you wouldn't mind going and using your device and going and filling out that training sign in and that survey. And as you hear me every week, I need for you to do that because we do rely so heavily upon that information that's that you're asked to fill out in there. And then you can, do the survey, and you can also do the certificate if you would choose to do so. The first link in the Zoom platform and the first link in the Facebook Live platform is the tiny URL, and that is what will get you also to that information if you would need to use that. And simply because, as someone pointed out to me a while back, if you're on your device, you can't usually use it to go and capture those things on that QR code. So please feel free to just tap on that URL, that tiny URL. All right. So today is Monday Minutes. We are coming off of a very nice, long, relaxing weekend. I hope everyone is enjoying their Monday. It is definitely a Monday for me today. And so I feel like I might be a little scatterbrained today. So we're going to go through and look at what is coming up on our calendar for this week. And we're also going to go through our parent-to-parent guide. And for those of you that may be new, please feel free to drop any of your questions into the chat box, whether it be on our Zoom link or whether it be on our Facebook Live platform. I do have a moderator that is out there on our Facebook Live, and so she will be looking for any of those questions or comments and keep me posted on that. So thank you to the moderator that's out there today. So, we are, we're in July, and so we're, really about probably halfway through our summer program as far as, you know, um, different things that is happening here. Last week we did have a discussion on Thursday about the IEP and what is to be in the IEP and how if you have questions on, the whole due process or mediation, that type of information was also discussed last week. So we're going to be kind of continuing those types of discussions over the rest of the summer. We do have some speakers coming up, but we are just wanting to make sure that we get our parents and anyone else that would be interested prepared for this school starting back up. We're going to have an interesting conversation coming up with a lovely lady that is going to talk about, getting back into the swing of things for this school year. And, we do have a lot of kids, mine in particular. He's an adult, but does have trouble with when changes come up. And we know that summertime is a huge change for kids because just as we get them settled into school, then we're, out for that summer break. And then we're, trying to get them settled into the summer break. And then it's time to get them moved back into the swing of school. So she's going to have some helpful tips for us for that. And also she'll be back in December, no, actually November, to talk about the holidays and how to kind of help with getting help with the holidays for that. All right, so I hope you've had time to go and do that tiny URL. And oops. So let me get to our website and let me share that with you. We can kind of go out and see what's out there on our website. And, we do have our Hoops with Heart that will be coming up. I talked about it last week a little bit and talked about it the week before that. And so please make sure that you are, if you absolutely, if you would like to donate, if you would like to attend, you are more than welcome to look at this. Here is the schedule that will be coming up for that Thursday, July 31st, and that Friday, August the 1st. If you have if you want to check out our silent auction, if you want to maybe sponsor the event or attend the fundraiser or donate, you can find all that information here on our website. It's a really a fun and interesting time to be able to see the kids on Friday and to be able to interact with them. It was up at last year it was at a Notre Dame, and so that was an experience. Never had been to Notre Dame, so I truly enjoyed being there for that. But this year it is going to be at the Wellfield Botanical Garden or Botanic Gardens, and that's there in Elkhart. And then we're going to have a Groovin' in the Gardens entertainment that evening at 6:30. So please feel free to look at that. Like I said last week, our we receive grants from several sources over the year, and that pays for, all of our salaries and those things that have to be paid for that are we are given permission to pay for out of those grants. That probably isn't the way to say it. So we do have incidentals that do come up throughout the year that we don't have, aren't able to be paid from those grants. So this is a good way for some of those things that we have to afford to do or buy can be done, and that's through through our fundraiser. If you do have any questions, please feel free to contact Beth Ernsberger. She will be able to help you with any questions that you have on that. Beth is fantastic. She has done, this is her second year of doing this fundraiser, Hoops with Heart, and it is very time consuming, very exhausting, and she does a fantastic job with that. So please, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to reach out to her. So some of our training that's coming up. And remember that our trainings are done for parents and professionals. It's to, both ends of that spectrum are done with our trainings. Let's go to our event calendar. And you will see that this is Monday, July the 7th, and we are here for Monday Minutes. And then tomorrow, you will be able to see Jessica Terry and Michelle Arcatana. They will be on at 3:30 on a Facebook Live, and they will be in touch with InSource, and they will have some great information as they always do on Tuesdays. Remember that Tuesday, the first Tuesday of every month, at 3:30 that is In Touch with InSource in Spanish, and Michelle Arcatana does that. We do not have any webinars that are coming up this week, and so as you see by the calendar, it's very kind of a slow week as far as any trainings or any events that are coming up. So if you would like to take the opportunity, you can go to our YouTube channel and peruse the whole list of things that we have there and rewatch on the replay a lot of our former webinars. And so you can go there and even watch some little snippets of some things that have been prepared for you to get some information as well. So please feel free to reach out to that. This is a great time of the year to, again, look through those resources that we have as far as um, our um, our webinars on replay. You can look at like the one from last week, the IEP, and familiarize yourself maybe with the IEP and kind of just refresh yourself of what things are supposed to be in there. We have, disciplines in there. There's just a whole lot of other things in there that you can be looking at and get some information, get some things that are just, like I said, just update yourself on. And there we have Grooving with the Gardens. Um, so yeah, there you go. During the summertime, we are a little bit our office is a little bit slower than normal. We have a lot of our staff. This is the time of year that we take vacation. Not that this is the only time of year we take vacation, but this is a time of year that a lot of us are a little bit more relaxed. And like, we have vacation that's coming up. And so if you do have a question for your liaison, and they are on vacation, you are more than welcome to leave them a message. They'll get back to you as soon as they return from their vacation or from their day off. You can call our call center, and the girls there are very happy to answer your questions as well as good as they can. And they can ease, and even if you don't know who your liaison is, then they can help you with finding that, and they can, yeah, direct you in the direction that you need to go from there. So bear with us as we are, like I said, we are on that kind of like that more relaxed schedule, taking vacation days and things like that. Um, Everybody does run their own schedule. So please know that, I may be in my office Monday through Friday from 8 to 4, but, other people may be in their offices, from 9 to 3 or 10 to 2. It just depends upon each one because we all run our own schedules. We all have different hours that we work. I will tell you that as far as like our Facebook page and our uh, website, we do have a couple of moderators that do that, and it's usually starts, I believe, around like 9 o'clock when they start moderating that. And then there is someone here on until I believe like 8 o'clock. And so if you do have questions, you can go and there's a little lovely face down here. And if you click on that or write a message here, they will be able to help you whenever they have the minute to get to that. So please just uh, click on that if you ever have a question or you're just wanting some information. The girls are great with that. And so it is 9 a.m. At starting at 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Spanish is also available at that time. So if you're needing or someone that needs Spanish support, please feel free to jump on, and there is a person that will be able to help you with that Spanish component. While I am thinking of it, and we're here. If you go up to the right-hand corner, let me move this. If you go up here to our right-hand corner where it does say select language, you can click on that, and you can click on um, a language here, and it will be able to translate our website into any of these languages that you see here. And so please, at any time that you maybe need that, click on that, and you'll be able to have our website translate into that for you. Okay? All right. As far as our website, like here again is our YouTube playlist. You can do a sign in, and you can then see those YouTube channel things that we have. That wasn't a very good way to say it. YouTube channel things. It will take you to our YouTube channel, and you'll be able to see the playlist as it is there. This, when it first comes up, there is a beautiful video here that does explain about our organization. And, you know, we are celebrating 50 years this year. So, this is, a milestone to say the least, the 50 years. So if you want to jump on there and look at that video, you'll learn a lot about what our organization does there too. Again, here is all of our um, webinars that we have had, and you can, go through there and look at them. As you do go through there and look at those, you will see that QR code will pop up. Please, just like you do on a live video, if you would please just make sure that you fill out that information. That would be wonderful. All right, so let's go back to our home page, and we are going to go under resources. And as you can see here, we do have our parent-to-parent guide in English and Spanish. We also have Article 7 here in English and Spanish. And so you can download a copy of those either way that you want. There is, real quick too, there is Finder here. And if you have a question, if you're looking for information, Finder is a great place to go. Finder is, it's the Indiana Disability, it's just right here. It is a great way for you to find information. I guess my brain is just not working. You can add a listing to Finder, and you just have to create an account. But they do have an events page, so you can find out about different events that are coming up throughout the state of Indiana. And you can see that there is all sorts that have been on here. And if you ever have a question about Finder, we are having a webinar that's going to be talking about Finder, and it will give you a little bit more information about that. And it's just if you have a disability resource that you're looking for, this is a great place to find that. If you go to our Family Engagement Center, you will see that this is where the Family Engagement Center is where this brings the schools, not just disabilities, but this brings the schools and the families and the community together. And so the Family Engagement Center is part of our organization as well. And there is a lot of things that are going to be coming out in the near future about the family engagement. We did have the AFFECT conference, and there is information on our website about that. It's just another area that you can access for parents, for educators, anybody that is interested in that area. Again, it's it's building those partnerships that are not just disability specific. It's everybody, kind of like the whole child. It encompasses the whole child. So that's what I'm really trying to say. There is some information here. You have your model sites. There is school corporations the five school corporations that are the model sites for this year. Then there is a tier two support. There is information on research. There is information on the advisory committee, and there is the members right here. So there's just a lot of different things that are coming out. And we can if you ever have a question or you ever have let's say that's like for the Finder, if you wanted to be more information on Finder and how to get your information onto Finder, we can kind of guide you in that direction too, if you need that. But we do have a webinar that will be coming up with sure wish I could remember her name, but she is directly from Finder. She'll be doing a webinar on that specific website. And so please feel free to join us whenever that pops up. And that will be in August. Okay. So let's go back to our training page. And we've went through our events calendar. We've talked about upcoming webinars. We do have our Monday minutes, and then we also have our office hours with the Indiana Department of Education, Office of Special Education. That is not for the month of June or July, and so there won't be one for this month, but please come back in August for that. It's from 12 to 1, and our very own Lisa Paddock, she is the one that helps and brings the IDOE for information for us. And then you'll see in July 17th, there is the Preparing for Transition to School, the information on it. And let's go back to the resources. Excuse me. And we're going to go to our parent-to-parent guide. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. And we can kind of go from there. And let me get to our page here where every week I tell you about how this is a legacy product. It's been built from contributions of department specialists and consultants over, like I said, insource has been around for 50 years. It was updated by using the reauthorization of Article 7 in 2024, and the language and everything that's done here is our responsibility, which is Indiana's Parent Training and Information Center, insource. And this does not constitute legal advice. This is just a document to help you navigate through some of those questions that you may have about special education. And if there's ever an update, there will be one that you will be notified through our website. Our table of contents. Remember that the federal and state education departments are ones that do fund insource, a statewide parent training and information center, and we are very prepared to listen to your concerns. We can respond to your questions. We can connect you to answers free of charge. Remember, everything that we do here at insource is done free of charge to parents and anybody that would call or ask for assistance. We are dedicated to providing that high quality information, the training and support to families of children and young adults with disabilities and the individuals and organizations who serve them. We are not a legal advocacy agency. We cannot provide legal advice. If you are looking for an attorney, I would encourage you to look for a competent special education attorney, and whenever you are looking for information in that realm. Um, like I said, we have been around for 50 years. We are one of the first five parent and training resource centers that were ever established in the United States. Every state in the United States must have a parent and training and information center. Excuse me. So, Indiana is yours. It is ours. I'm very proud to have that, uh, being with the organization. I've been here for 23 years, and I cannot tell you how grateful I am for receiving the training that I did prior to becoming um, an employee at InSource. And so, again, you do have liaisons that work and live in your areas. And so if you ever are looking for that person, you can find that information on our website, or you are more than welcome to call the 574-234-7101, and one of the call center specialists will help you find that information. Okay. And we help families from birth to 26. And I don't know, because we do talk so much about special education. And, right now we're going through the parent to parent guide, and that is, directly related to special education. So, but remember, we do have First Steps, which is Indiana's early intervention program, and that is from birth to 3. And then from 3 to 22, you can have your education as far as that developmental preschool, kindergarten. Then you have your grades from first grade to your senior year. And then we do have some instances of some children that need to be educated for a little bit longer. And so they are educated, let's just say 18 is generally when somebody graduates from high school. Maybe they would need help from 18 to that 22nd birthday. And so we do help from, again, birth to 3 is the early intervention program. We can help you with information on it, and then we can help you with information on your developmental preschool years that generally start at 3 until maybe you have to go up until your 22nd birthday. We can help with that information, but we also have from 22 to 26. We do have our young adult program that you can look into as well. So we at InSource we really cover that very wide range of age. And so please, feel free if you have questions about anything that's in that wide range. We can do our best to help you find information on that. And InSource is, we're not the only agency, we're not the only nonprofit organization that does talk about special education or about first steps, or that age from 22 to 26. There are other organizations that do have information. We just have for years we were so specialized in just special education at the academic level. And there is Indiana Family to Family that you can get in touch with. There is the Arc of Indiana that you can get in touch with. And everybody has kind of like their little niche of things that they do, and they do very well. And so I'm proud to say that I think that we do very well. We do from birth to 26 extremely well. Um, and so, for so many years, we were very focused, very hyper focused on that 3 to 22 age. And now we are making sure that we are encompassing the other two ends of that spectrum. And so now we kind of have everything together there. And so please feel free, like I said, if you have any questions about that, and saying some of those things, you when you do have a child that has a disability, there is so much that goes on. And I'm only can only speak from my personal perspective of it being feeling like a whirlwind. And so when you talk about things like that, there's, you may need to look into your any sort of waivers. And so, we don't specifically help with waivers, but, we know there are other organizations that can help you with waivers. Indiana Family to Family can help with waivers. The Arc of Indiana can help with waivers. Your insurance and those type of questions. Indiana Family to Family is a very good place to reach out for things like that. Um, it just depends upon what you are looking for and the information and the help that you're needing. So, there is a lot of organizations, is what I guess I'm really trying to get to, that can help parents that do have kids with disabilities, whether you be a birth to three, a 3 to 22, or, even 22 to 26. And so please, at any time, feel free to reach out. But, we have been really very focused on our new parent to parent guide. I just was really trying to make sure that as many people as possible knew that we did have this book that's been out now. This does replace our parent guide that we had for many, many years. This one here is really been put together very well. It's got some very, very valuable information in it that that we've already discussed. It's a great it's a great book to kind of keep, and if you need to tab it, if you're the person that keeps a hard copy, you can tab it and do things like that with it, and have that. Um, you can have it into an electronic copy. I am not savvy enough to tell you if you can make tabs or notes or anything like that in it, but you 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 can figure that out. I'm sure that there's people that are a lot smarter than me when it comes to those type of things. But it's nice to be able to have a document that you can look at. Here online, you can use that Control F, and it will bring up that um, box that you can do a search if you're looking for something specific. And so, that's a great thing to have. And it's the same thing with Article 7. If you have a question about Article 7, download that copy and use that Control F, and you'll be able to just type in a word and it will bring it up. So, anyway, just so that you just know that there are resources out there. There are other things that you can access. We're not the only one, but I'm very proud to say that we're very good at what we do. Um, if I can, brag about our organization, but we are very good at what we do, and we have some great liaisons that have some very good knowledge base. All right. So let's go ahead and let's see where we were at last week. Um, and I don't mean to make you sick by scrolling so fast. So let's get to where we need to go. Okay. So we have been through the information about ESSA, the non-public schools, and all of that. Now we're going to talk about instructional days. So now we're going to kind of get into terms and things like that that you may, there's calendar days, there's instructional days, there's business days, so when you start talking about timelines and you start to have to take notice of those types of things, you'll want to make sure that you are looking at, is it an instructional day? Is it a calendar day? You know, what is the day that you're talking about? And so in Indiana code, there are some very specifics about um, days. And last week, we did go through the instructional days. We do know that there's 180 school days that a student must attend. We know that the length of the day is so many hours. And so it is, so the instructional day for a student is at least 5 hours of instruction for grades 1 through 6, and at least 6 hours of instruction for grades 7 through 12. So remember that that is an instructional day, 180 school days, and they have to be in school for at least 5 hours if you are a grades 1 through 6, 6 hours for grades 7 through 12. So those are the mandated days and hours. Now, having said that, each and every one of you that have children in school know that there are days that early dismissals, there might be snow days, well, they used to call them snow days, I'm not sure what they call them now. There may be e-learning days that came out of us having having COVID and having to navigate our way through those types of situations. So there's all sorts of days. And so please keep mindful of that day when you're thinking about whether it be an instructional day, whether it be a reevaluation timeline, an evaluation timeline, any of those things that would have a timeline. Keep in mind what kind of a day that is. Okay. Um, the next box, I just want to reiterate these key points because it's really important to remember if you are agreeing to a shortened day, um, make sure that before you, as a parent, you agree to that you, first of all, you understand what you're agreeing to. So please make sure that you are reading the IEP, you are excuse me, a present participant in the case conference because it is a case conference committee decision. And you are a very valuable part of that team. And so you want to make sure that you are understanding what you are agreeing to. Also, it is, well, I'll just read the sentence. When it comes to it generally, I'll just read it to you because it's just easier for this. It is generally not considered best practice to unintentionally teach a child that someone will come take them home if they act out. It is the school's responsibility to educate your child for the entire instructional day, unless it's determined that this is not in the best interest of the child. That decision is not to be based on the limitations of the school staff. So keep in mind whenever you agree to a shortened day what you're agreeing to. If you're agreeing to a shortened day and you have a child that is in first grade, By what is an Indiana code, it says they have to be in school for at least 5 hours of instruction in grades 1 through 6. So if you're agreeing to a shortened day, they will not be having those times that is lined out in our Indiana code. If you agreed upon that, and that is what's in the best interest of the child, then just make sure that you understand what you're agreeing to. The decision cannot be based on school's limitations due to staff, period. I'm not going to say anything else. So just remember that if you're talking about a student in school, in public school, it is 180 school days. It is from grades 0 or from grades 1 to 6, 5 hours of instructions, and children that are in grades 7 to 12, they have to be in school for 6 hours of instruction, at least. And some schools goes longer, but none of them can go any shorter. Now, also know that when we talk about those days, that certain circumstances do arise, and they can petition the Department of Education at times on having those days if something major has happened. There's always, there's always an exception to the rule that can come up. However, we know what's in Indiana code, and you cannot do any less than what's in Indiana code. There you go. So let's talk about removals. So IDEA, the Individuals with Disability Education Act, in Article 7. So you have IDEA, which is federal. That is federal information, federal laws. Article 7, that's Indiana, that is our special education rules for the state of Indiana. So federal and state, and Article 7 can do no less than what's in IDEA. So whatever's written into IDEA, we have to do at our Article 7 level. We cannot do any less. We can always go above and beyond, but we cannot do any less. So for those two, the term removal, this is to refer to any situation in which a student is removed for any period of time. It's a removal. So from any period of time from the program outlined in the IEP. The features of the IEP that are particularly relevant to the extent to which the student, and here is your bullet points, can continue to progress in the general curriculum, receives the special education services described in the student's IEP, participates with non-disabled students in the same extent as in the student's current placement. So that would be a removal. An in-school suspension does not count as a removal if the above criteria is met. So if, as long as they're continuing on that continuum of services, and they are receiving those special education services that are written into the IEP, and they are participating with those non-disabled students, then that is not to be considered a removal, as long as that in-school suspension is following those three criterias above. Now, if the student is removed for only part of a day, it is considered and counts as a whole day of removal. So let me just say that again, because you need to make sure that you understand that. If it is, let's say school gets out at 3 o'clock, and for some reason you are asked to come and pick your child up, and it is a 2:45, and they've had a behavior, or for some reason they have called and said, come and get them, it's considered to be one day. Okay. So if the school asks the parent to pick up the student up early from school due to behavior, it counts as a whole day of removal unless the process is programmed in the student's IEP. So now this here is where you want to be making sure that you understand what is written into your child's IEP. Because if you agree to picking up your child because they have a behavior, it's not going to count. Just be very cautious if that is something that you're going to agree to. When a student with a disability breaks school rules, they can receive the same discipline that would apply to a student without disability who broke the same rule for up to 10 days of removal. So that is telling you is that in the state of Indiana, anybody can be suspended for up to 10 days. Anybody. The school does not have to provide any special education or related services to the student during that first 10 days during the school year. The days of removal count toward the limit of 10, whether they happen all at once or if it's consecutive or added up over a time. So it's cumulative. 10 days. Okay. So any child in the state of Indiana that is in school, that is in grades preschool to their 22nd birthday. So let's just say from 3 to 22, any time that they are in school, and if they break a rule and they are sent home, then it is considered a removal. If it's written into their IEP that you as a parent is going to come and pick them up at any time that there is a behavior, then it doesn't count because that's what you've agreed upon and that is what's in the IEP. But any student in the state of Indiana has 10 days. Okay. Um, but beyond that 10 days, there's some things that has to be taken care of. So disciplinary change of placement. When it is known that a student will be removed for more than 10 cumulative school days in a school year, so that's 180 days because that's how many school days the Indiana code requires is 180 school days, so that's a school year. So when a student with a disability breaks school rules, they can receive the same discipline that would apply to a student without a disability. They can receive those same 10 days. Now, if it's a removal for more than those cumulative 10 days in a school year, the school decides if the series of removals constitute a disciplinary change of placement. A disciplinary change of placement is not the same as a placement change that might happen when an IEP is created or revised. A disciplinary change of placement means that the student's placement is different than the one in their IEP because the student violated the school's code of conduct. This different placement could impact the student's access to their IEP program and FAPE. That FAPE, and remember, FAPE is free appropriate public education. So Article 7 requires that the situation is to be addressed. A removal or series of removals from a student's current educational placement within the same school year results in a disciplinary change of placement as described above. If so, you want to go back and read that paragraph, and if the removal is more than 10 school days consecutively all at once, or a series of removals that add up to more than 10 days and show a pattern. So taking into account factors like the length of the removal, the total time the student has been removed, how close in time the removals were to one another, the school decides if the incidents are similar enough to demonstrate a pattern. And this is where it's very important again to know what's written into an IEP. Know have the information if there is a disciplinary incident at school that you as a parent understand what that infraction was and what paperwork needs to go with it and what some of the information you want the information of what the incident was. You want to know what is going to be, if it's the 10 days, you want the information because you want to know what that removal is. Okay. So you need to make sure that you're receiving all the information, whether it be an email, whether it be a written form. Used to, when my kids were in school, it was the pink sheet that would be sent home. Um, and it would have the incident would be written up and you would have the information. Um, some schools now it's put into their um, their way of communicating with families, and it's different from school to school. So whatever, like Power School or whatever your school is that uses that information. So that's where you would also find that. So you want to make sure that you are getting that information. Okay. So a series of removals add up to more than 10 days and show a pattern. And you have to take into account the factors like the length of the removal, the time the student has been removed, how close in time the removals to were one another was, were they removed on Monday and they had a suspension on Tuesday, they came back on Wednesday and they were suspended on Thursday. That's what you're looking for, is that how close they are in those removals to one another. Um, and how similar the incidences are to each other. Does it demonstrate a pattern? It differs from school to school who's assigned to make the decision of it, that the behaviors show a pattern. Um, like it says here, it could be typically the school principal, assistant principal, it could be a dean, it could be a special education administrator that's in charge with looking at the history of the behaviors and then making that decision. I've been in situations where we've been at case conferences, and it's been the special education director that has been making that decision, and they've got all of their basically their whole cumulative file there, and they're looking through it to see what the incidences have been, what kind of a pattern there's been. So it just depends upon who is in charge of that. So if they decide that there is no pattern, then that means that this is not a disciplinary change of placement. There must be input from at least one of the student's teachers to determine what services are needed to enable the student to continue to participate in the general education curriculum and make progress towards their IEP goals, although in a different setting. The services must begin on the 11th school day of the removal. So the removal is for more than 10 school days consecutively or all at once, or it could be an accumulative 10 days. On the 11th day, the services have to begin. So on that 11th day of that removal, you have to be making sure that you're on a continuum of services and that the student has the opportunity to continue to make progress for those goals that they have written into their IEP. Okay. This is where I would say it's clear as mud. But if you have a child that does tend to have behavior issues, you want to make sure that you understand disciplinary change of placement. You want to make sure that you understand removals very well so that you as a parent make sure that you know when those days are up. Okay. Um, again, it's not that the school's not going to be paying attention. The school's going to be paying attention. It's just you want to make sure that you are on top of it as well. In the little box here, it does say that Article 7 does designate the school as the authoritarian to determine if a pattern exists without calling a case conference committee meeting. So if you believe that there is an unrecognized pattern to your child's behavior, you may want to ask to visit the special education director or call a case conference committee meeting to discuss your child's needs. So you may, again, and this is where I will tell you that having a home file and having all the information every single time that there's a write-up, every single time that there is a removal, that you have that information so that you can be looking at it yourself and saying, okay, every day at 2 o'clock, little Johnny falls apart or little Johnny does this. And that is where you're going to see that pattern of behaviors. Okay. Every time he goes to, Mrs. Jones's class, there's a behavior. Those are the things that you start to look for those patterns, because you as a parent, you can start to see them yourself. You're responsible. Part of your, as a parent, part of our job is to be an active participant in the case conference. Our part of our job is to be a decision-making person as part of that case conference committee. So, and we know our child better than anybody sitting around that table. So we have to be an active participant, and we have to be doing our due diligence to make sure that we know what's in the IEP. We know, if there is a behavior, we know all of those things, and because we are keeping track of them as well. And I'm not asking you to keep a book of, here's one strike, here's this, anything like that. Make sure that you're just be aware. If your child is sent home from school for a behavior, make sure that there is some sort of document. Why? I need to know the information on why they're being sent home. I need to know why this is a removal. Why are they sitting in school suspension? You need that information so that you can start to see if there is a pattern. Okay. I know I sound like, I'm just beating things with a dead horse, and I'm sorry, but this is, this is part of our job as a parent, is to make sure that we're keeping on top of this. It is 2:02, and I do not want to keep you much past, so I do apologize for going over 2 minutes. We will pick this up next week under removals that are disciplinary change of placement. So by the page on here, it's page 50. And so we're going to, and this does start to get a little mucky, but please understand that it's just part of the information that you need to have, and make sure that you do understand it. Alrighty, so I will not see you back here this week. We do not have any webinars. Please jump on tomorrow at 3:30 and watch Jessica and Michelle and listen to what they have to say about In Touch and what's coming up with that. I will be back here on Monday, and we will go and talk about the webinar that will be coming up next week. We'll also be going and starting about our page 50, and we'll be starting here on removals that are disciplinary change of placement. So let me go and real quickly, let me bring up that QR code again. Whoops. And so that you have the opportunity to use it. And again, I am so sorry for taking up so much time today. And so here is your QR code for today. And again, fill that out, that sign in, that survey. And, please feel free to, even put, if you have questions or comments, or if I'm doing something that you like, or I'm doing something that you don't like, drop it in there, please. Let me know. I can't change anything that I don't know that may be wrong, or I might be doing that you don't particularly care for. So please let me know about that. Again, Thank you so much for being here. I greatly appreciate the moderators out there today. I don't have any questions that have come up. So we'll just go ahead and get ready to jump off. There's not been any that's been posted here on our Zoom platform. So, ladies and gentlemen, and I greatly appreciate you being here today. Thank you very, very much. Have a fantastic Monday, a great week, and I will see you next Monday.